How do you pray when God already is where you are? That is our first and perhaps last question. Because if God is, then prayer is not a summons to a distant throne, a telegram sent into the ether, nor the endless noise of human wishing. Prayer becomes recognition, seeing what is already so and resting in it until its light dissolves the shadow forms that frightened us. Say less, recognize more, watch peace arrive. We have all tried the other way, haven't we? God, come, do something about this rent, this pain, this child. And then we wait to see if God receives our message and alters the scene. But be still and know that I am God is not a plea at all. It is a statement of fact, calling for silence instead of speech, awareness instead of argument. Before they call, I will answer. What does that mean? Except that the answer is the presence, and the presence is already here. God is omnipresence, so there is no spot where God is not. God is omnipotence, therefore there is no second power to fight or fix. God is omniscience, so there is no ignorance to inform and no divine mind in need of your briefing. God is, God is, God is. Now, this is where we make a gentle correction, because many of us have been rehearsing the I am program. I am spiritual. I am perfect. I am harmonious. And then we reach for our eyeglasses to read it again. If you are so perfectly perfect, why the lenses? Why the worry over tomorrow? Not I am wealthy, but the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Not I am strong, but God is strength, unwearied. Not I am healthy, but God is life, and that life is the light of men. The Master said, I can of mine own self do nothing, and immediately reveal the key. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. There is the true I. I in the midst of you am mighty. So when we speak of prayer, we are not speaking of changing God or changing conditions. We are speaking of changing our seeing, of turning from the picture to the presence. The kingdom of God is within you. Therefore, the altar is not at a distance, and your Holy of Holies is not built of stone. It is this instant of still awareness within, where the gentle voice says, Lo, I am with you always. Let us be practical. Close your eyes a moment and do not ask. Simply acknowledge God is here. God is the life of this very life. God is the mind acting as understanding. God is the law maintaining order. God is the love that never withholds. Be still and know. Listen not with ears, but with that deep place that recognizes its own source. And in that quiet, without strain, the atmosphere changes. The heart unknots. Fear loses its argument because where one presence is recognized, there is no rival. Take no thought for your life. Does not mean be careless. It means transfer reliance from managing effects to beholding. Cause. The infinite invisible governs where you stand. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, was the word at the very edge of the sea, and it is the word at the edge of your problem. Do not push the water. Recognize the presence that parts it. Do not talk the darkness away. Recognize the light that is. This is the simplicity that embraces all one universal practice, fit for the sick room and the market, for the board meeting and the breakfast table. Say less, recognize more. We do not inform God. We are informed by God. We do not move God. We are moved by God. We do not wrestle for outcome. We rest in the one whose nature unfolds as outcome. In that rest, prayer ceases to be a plea and becomes communion, a holy appointment kept in silence until the word is felt. Then demonstration follows, not as human achievement, but as the nature of God expressing, Fear not, I will never leave you nor forsake you. I in the midst of you am mighty. Now we take the turn that simplifies the whole path, the great reorientation from I am to God is. This is where many of us, eager and sincere, got tangled. We learned a vocabulary of self-assertions. I am spiritual. I am harmonious. I am perfect. And then, we reached for our eyeglasses to read the list and fretted about the rent that was due Friday. If the human personality could talk itself into divinity, the world would be a paradise of slogans. But the flesh profiteth nothing. The Master set the key in the door, and it is not a door you push with human affirmation. It is a door that opens by recognition. God is immortal. God is omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence. God is the life of all being, the intelligence that knows and is known, the love that fulfills itself as supply, health, order, and harmony. God is the law maintaining its own creation. God is the mind in which there are no opposites and no rival thoughts. God is, God is, God is. And because God is, we need no longer inflate a personal self with spiritual adjectives. We can relax into the fact that what God is the truth of identity appearing as our individual being. Listen to the honesty of Jesus. I can of mine own self do nothing. That is not modesty. That is spiritual arithmetic. The person as person lacks the capacity to add 1 cubit to his stature or 1 heartbeat to a life. But he did not stop there. He gave us the missing clause. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. This is the shift of center from persona to presence, from the actor on the stage to the life imparting the role and moving the script. I and the Father are one is not the human self exalted to a throne. It is the recognition that the only I is the indwelling I, the Father within. Say it not as bravado, but as witness. I in the midst of you am mighty. So we make a gentle but decisive correction in speech and thought. Not, I am wealthy, but the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Not, I am strong, but God is strength, unwearied and unspent. Not, I am healthy, but God is life, and that life is the light of men. Not, I am wise, but God is the only wisdom functioning as understanding here. Not, I must protect myself, but God is a fortress and a high tower. Underneath are the everlasting arms. Do you hear the movement? Not, I am, propping up a mortal with brave phrases, but God is, revealing the nature of being and letting it appear as all we are and do. Now, as a practice, take your language to the altar and let it be baptized. Each time you catch the old habit, I am afraid, I am lacking, I am trying hard, stop. And in that pause, let the wind of spirit turn you. Replace the needy sentence with recognition. God is presence here. God is sufficiency unfolding. God is rest and right action. Do not hurry the words. Be still long enough to feel inner assent. The point is not to manufacture a prettier sentence. The point is to let the sentence carry you to the presence until the presence speaks for itself. My grace is sufficient for thee is not a caption for a poster. It is the living voice of the indwelling I. As this resets in you, strain eases because the little engine of self stops pulling a train it was never meant to pull. Outcomes begin to arrive not as trophies of effort, but as the natural fruit of what God is being. You do not become a shining person. The light shines through the window that you are, and in the quiet you will hear it tender and sure. Fear not. Look to me. I am the life of your life, the mind of your mind, the substance of your supply. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Keep to this one turn from I am to God is, and watch how everything else turns with it. Let me give you the picture that will save you hours of wrestling. A hypnotist says to a man on stage, there is a white poodle at your feet. The man jumps, he laughs, he tries to shoo it, He even argues with the hypnotist about what to do with it, but it is not there. You could send him to obedience school, buy leashes and biscuits, arrange counseling for canine and man, and still there is no poodle to be helped. The problem is not a dog. The problem is a suggestion believed. When the hypnotist snaps his fingers, the man blinks, and where did the poodle go? Nowhere. Because it was nowhere. He wakes, and he laughs at himself. That is what we mean by illusion. Snake in the rope, in dim light the coil startles you, but in the light you find rope and no snake. Railroad tracks racing into the horizon appear to meet, but walk it and they never touch. A shadow on the wall looks like something to scrub, yet try a lifetime of scrubbing the wall and you will never remove a shadow. Switch on the light and the shadow flees without argument. You have not treated a snake, a meeting of iron, or a stain. You have withdrawn belief from a misperception by bringing it to light. Now hear the correction. Do not treat illusions. Do not take hold of the white poodle and dress it up in metaphysics. When you stare at the picture, X-ray, bank balance, family tangle, and then go to affirm, I am spiritual, I am harmonious, I am fearless. You are still playing with the dog on the stage. Not I am spiritual, but God is spirit, and they that worship must worship in spirit and in truth. Not I am fearless, but the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? God is. God is. God is. This then is the message, that God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. If God is light, where shall darkness lodge? It has no lodging except in our consent to the dim room of suggestion. So our practice is not to argue with appearances. Our practice is to look away and rest in what is. Be still and know that I am God. That is not a command to wrestle. That is a permission to wake. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Stand still where? Inwardly, in the sanctuary where the voice announces, fear not, lo, I am with you always. I in the midst of you am mighty. Sit back, breathe, and let the mind that was galloping after dogs become quiet enough to notice there was never a dog to chase. The appearance is a picture on the screen. The power is the light behind it. You are not asked to repair the movie. You are invited to remember the projector. Turn to recognition. God is the only presence here. God is the only power operative. God is law unto his universe. God is life, and that life is the light of men. Do not hurry the words. Let them turn the switch. As recognition dawns, notice how the fear unhooks itself. Without your belief to feed them, the shadows thin, the snake becomes rope, the tracks are just tracks, and the white poodle goes back to the nowhere it came from. This is your relief. You have not been commissioned to wrestle shadows into shape. You have been called to wake. The strain goes out of the prayer. The instant the responsibility transfers from fixing what is not to beholding what is. And then, yes, you will find, without pushing, that things on the screen adjust. The phone rings with favor. The body releases pain. The meeting calms. But the true demonstration is not that the picture changed. It is that you no longer bow to pictures. You bow to presence. Keep to this. Look less at the poodle. Look more at the presence. Say less to the stage. Say more within. God is. God is. God is. And in that light, the nothingness of error shows itself as nothing at all. Now we turn from the screen to the sanctuary, from pictures to presence. Be very simple with me for a moment. Now close your eyes and realize there is something called I. Not the chatter of the mind, not the personality rehearsing its lines, but a quiet aliveness that simply is. Gentle, present, alive without our help. It does not argue. It does not hurry. It announces itself as stillness. It is nearer than breath and closer than thought. If you do not strain, you can feel that it does not begin when you attend to it, and it does not stop when you forget. It abides. Hear it, not as words in a book, but as the living voice that speaks now. Lo, I am with you unto the end of the world. Not once upon a time, not to heroes, not to saints long buried. Now, here where you sit, I am. I, in the midst of you, am mighty, mighty, not as muscles, not as argument, but as a presence that is its own authority. This I is not the personal ego dressed up for church. This is the Father within who doeth the works. Remember how the Master drew the line for us? I can of mine own self do nothing. That is the person. My doctrine is not mine. That is the surrender. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. That is the I we are meeting in this holy instant. Let us give a name to what is now occurring. This silent meeting between your yielded heart and the indwelling I is the Holy Ghost. Do not push it into a ritual. Do not make it something rare. Where two or three are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst. Who are the two? Your listening and my speaking, your consent and my sufficiency. And in the very recognition that there are two, you begin to feel there is only one, because the I that listens and the I that speaks are of one being. This is why the Word becomes flesh and dwells with you, not by your vocal cords vibrating pious sentences, but by the Word, the creative principle, moving as life, as wisdom, as harmony in the affairs of your day. Stay in this a moment longer. Do not compose an affirmation. Let recognition compose you. Breathe as if you had all the time in the world, because in truth you do. Eternity is not counting minutes in this room. Simply notice, God is. God is here. God is the life of my life, the mind of my mind, the law unto all that concerns me. And now listen, because the voice answers to the listening. Fear not. I am the bread in your cupboard and the understanding in your meeting. I am the health that is your wholeness. I am the light that reveals the next step. I will never leave you nor forsake you. When you are quiet enough to hear that, you have found the fortress about which the Psalms sing. Underneath are the everlasting arms. Do you see how different this is from pushing ideas at God? Many of us, in our zeal, have tried to move mountains with syllables, to push affirmations until our jaws ache, as if God were reluctant and we must persuade. That is the old hypnosis. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. The might and the power are the person trying to do God's work. The Spirit is the indwelling I doing its own. Rest from building Babel towers of phrases. Turn within and let I speak for itself. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. My peace orders your atmosphere, settles your nerves, dissolves the urgency that never had authority. Stand still and discover that guidance arrives without your wrestling. Provision appears without your scheming. Safety is known without your defenses, for I am a shield and exceeding great reward. Make this the new measure of prayer. Not how many words were uttered, but whether the inner assurance rose of its own accord. When you feel that warm certainty, sometimes like a whisper, sometimes like a great quiet that says, I am here, you have prayed. And when you rise, do not leave me in the chair. Walk out with me, because I do not come and go. I am. In the market, in the sick room, on the road, and in the courtroom, return to the center, and you will find me still saying, I am. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. I will never leave you nor forsake you. This is our safety, our sufficiency, our guidance. This is the power that dissolves problems, not a person pushing affirmations, but the presence proclaiming itself within and proving its own nature as the very life we live. Let us now give the heart a form so simple that a child on a school bus, a soldier in a trench, a mother by a crib, A patient in a hospital bed can practice it without tools, without books, without strain. 3 lines, 1 prayer, spoken not to move God, but to let recognition be born and to open the door for grace to act by its own nature. First line, God is the only presence and the only power here. Say it slowly. Not as defense against something, not to chase away the white poodle on the stage, but as a recognition of what already is. God is the only presence and the only power here, in the boardroom here, at the bedside here, in traffic here. If God is omnipresence, there is no second presence standing beside him. If God is omnipotence, there is no rival power pressing a claim. God is, God is, God is. Be still a moment after you say it and let the mind stop reaching. Be still and know that I am God. Let the sentence dissolve into awareness until the room inside you feels larger than the room outside you. Second line, God is the life, mind, and substance appearing as all true being and action. Slowly. God is life, your breath, your heartbeat, the vitality that is not borrowed from vitamins or clocks. God is mind, the understanding at this table, the wisdom in this interview, the clarity in this decision. God is substance, the sufficiency, the very isness that shows up as bread in the cupboard, as right contacts, as order in the day. Not I am clever, not I am strong, not I am secure, but God is the life, mind, and substance appearing as all true being and action. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Rest there. Do not manage meaning. Let meaning manage you. My doctrine is not mine, said the Master. And the moment you feel that inward, yes, you are no longer building outcomes. You are witnessing the Word becoming flesh by its own law. Third line, I in the midst of me am mighty. Peace be still. Now you are not rallying the human person. You are acknowledging the very presence we have been meeting. I in the midst of me am mighty. That I is the Father within who doeth the works. And then the command, not shouted at storms on the Sea of Galilee alone, but whispered to the churning within, peace be still. Hear the echo, why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? The winds and the waves still obey this word because the word never grew old. Speak it, then stop. Feel for the hush that follows. That hush is the obedience of creation to its source. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. These 3 lines are not a charm. They are a doorway. Speak each, then stop speaking. Let the meaning be felt, not managed. Do not argue with the picture. Recognize the presence. Do not attempt to add strength to God. Relax and let God reveal himself as the only power. In that stillness, responsibility slides from your shoulders to the everlasting arms. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. The release you sense is the sign that prayer has occurred, not many words, but the words sensed. Grace acts without strain because grace is God being God. Make this your one prayer in 100 scenes. Washing dishes, first line, silence. Signing papers, second line, silence. Facing fear, third line, silence. And always, after the words, the holy quiet in which the presence answers to your listening, I will never leave you nor forsake you. I in the midst of you am mighty. Peace be still. After the 3 lines, stop. Do not add a fourth. Do not improve upon them. Do not decorate the altar. 60 seconds of holy quiet. This is the container in which recognition ripens into demonstration. Rest, don't reach. We have reached all our lives, and reaching has given us stretched nerves and thin sleep. This is the minute in which you let the Father that dwelleth in you do the works. Be still and know that I am God. Not tomorrow, not after you have solved the puzzle of the day now. Let the body join the prayer by ceasing to push. Relax the brow. You do not need a furrow to make God act. Soften the jaw. Truth is not clenched into being. Uncurl the toes in your shoes. You are not gripping the earth to keep from falling out of heaven. Drop the shoulders a half inch. Let the tongue fall from the roof of the mouth. Place the hands wherever they are comfortable. Allow breath to come and go of its own accord, no managing, no counting, like waves touching the shore without your supervision. If a thought arrives with a list of things to do, nod to it the way you would to a passerby in a hallway and let it continue on its way. You are not here to fix the mind. You are here to stop asking and stand within the answer. Now listen without listening for anything. Wait upon the still small voice, not demanding words, not arranging messages, simply consenting to presence. Before they call, I will answer. Feel how that is already true. The room within you is quieter than the room around you. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. See means behold, not invent. Salvation is not postponed. It is the nature of God, being God where you are. If a whisper rises, fear not, I am here, let it bless you. If no words arrive, know that the presence is not measured by syllables. The activity of spirit is as real in silence as wind moving a field you cannot see. I in the midst of you am mighty. Lo, I am with you always. My peace I give unto you. Let the sentences, if they come, be like rain on already planted seed. If they do not come, let the quiet be the rain. Notice in this minute what you are not doing. You are not bargaining. You are not insisting. You are not chiseling at a stone to make it a door. The door is open of itself where recognition abides. Not I am trying, but God is being. Not I am declaring an outcome, but the Word is becoming flesh by its own law. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit. You are not applying power to a condition. You are consenting to the only power present. This is why the strain flows out of the prayer as breath flows out of the lungs. Responsibility transfers from the laboring person to the everlasting arms. Underneath are the everlasting arms. At the end of the 60 seconds, do not break the spell by leaping to performance. Rise gently, as if standing from a chair that holds a dear friend who remains with you. Walk back into your scene without fanfare, carrying the hush-like fragrance on your clothes. Then watch not anxiously, not timing God. Watch how demonstration, not declaration, appears. A phone call softens. A decision clarifies. A pain releases. A needed line in the budget finds its way. But even before these, something truer has occurred. The atmosphere within you has bowed to presence. The Word has taken on life. The invisible has shown its sufficiency in the visible. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Make this minute frequent. After the 3 lines, silence. In the car before you turn the key, silence. In the hallway before you knock, silence. When fear presses silence. And always hear the reassurance that requires no argument. I will never leave you, nor forsake you. I in the midst of you am mighty. Peace, be still. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Here, now, in the holy quiet, recognition completes its circle, and grace proves itself as life unfolding without strain. Now let the hush do what words could not. From strain to demonstration is not a leap of effort. It is the simple permission you grant the Word to be what it is, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit. You have recognized. Now watch the nature of God express without your pushing. And remember your measure. Do not run first to the thermometer, the ledger, or the headlines. Go first to the climate within. Is the sea calm? Has the wind obeyed the whisper, peace be still? If you have peace, you are already standing at the threshold of demonstration. The forms will find you as surely as dawn finds the horizon. In matters of health, do not stoop to treat a symptom as if it were a stubborn stain to scrub. Lift your gaze and recognize God is life, immortal, whole, indivisible, forever expressing itself as being. God is life. God is life. God is life. Not I am making myself well, not I am fighting disease, but I am the Lord that healeth thee, spoken now as the indwelling I announcing its own nature. The flesh profiteth nothing. It is the Spirit that quickeneth. So rest in that. Sit inwardly in the awareness that the only life present is God life, without beginning or end, needing no repair, knowing no depletion. As you relax into that fact, the body does what bodies under law always do. It yields to the law that governs it. Sensations that were shouting grow quiet. Functions that were arguing return to order. Not as a victory of a person over a condition, but as the evidence that the presence has been recognized. The Word becomes flesh, not because you forced it, but because it always does when you get out of its way. In supply, resist the bait to declare, I am rich, and then clutch your wallet to make the sentence true. Not I am wealthy, but rather the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. If the fullness is His, what is left lacking? Manna is not a museum story. It is the pattern of sufficiency now, enough for the day, arriving without hoarding, spoiling when fear tries to store it for a tomorrow God already inhabits. Water from the rock is not geology. It is the announcement that flow appears where maps say there is none, hemmed in by bills to the left and deadlines to the right. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Red seas still part for those who do not thrash them, but who recognize the presence that parts. Do not worship channels. Do not tie your hope to employer, client, market, or friend. Our reliance is in the infinite invisible, and channels appear and disappear like birds in flight while the sky remains. Take no thought for your life. Watch how ideas, introductions, opportunities, and yes, checks arrive without your strain by the simple law that God is substance expressing as form. In conflict, do not contend with persons. You will only multiply poodles on the stage. Return to one presence. God is the only presence and the only power here. Let that sentence settle until it carries authority. Then speak within, not at them. Peace be still. The storm that needed quieting was never your neighbor's temper. It was the fear in you bowing to a second power. When the fear bows, the tongue softens without rehearsal. Sometimes words come gentle as oil. Sometimes silence does the speaking. A soft answer turneth away wrath. And the answer is soft because it rises from the one who is love. You will witness strange mercies. An email toned down. A meeting that was all set for battle turning into reason. A lawsuit finding settlement. But again, the miracle is not that the actor changed his lines. It is that you refused to treat the play as power and chose the presence as law. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. How should you gauge all this? By the peace that passes understanding. If you carry peace out of your chair into your corridor, the demonstration has begun. The seed is already in the soil. It will push green without your fingers prying the earth. First the blade, then the ear, then the full corn in the ear, each in its order, each without strain. Do not time God. Do not check your watch to see if omnipresence is on schedule. Before they call, I will answer. Let the answer be the atmosphere you breathe. Keep to recognition. God is. God is here. God is the life, mind, and substance, appearing as all true being and action. I in the midst of me am mighty, peace, be still. Then let the word work, it knows how. It is its nature to become what it declares. And you will find again and again that life unfolds as demonstration quietly, naturally, as God being God where you are. Protection and provision are not manufactured at the edges of your life. They are the nature of God realized at the center. So we ask the simple, searching question that corrects a lifetime of leaning on props. Is the steel plate the protection, or is the Word of God the protection? Be honest, because you and I have both known persons who wore amulets and still lay awake, who added another lock and still checked the door thrice, who bought an insurance policy and then bought another policy to insure the policy. If protection were in the plate, the lock, the contract, then fear would have left when you bought them. It did not, because fear is not dissolved by steel. Fear is dissolved by recognition. God is the only presence and the only power here. Hear it within until it answers you. Stand still. I am a fortress and a shelter. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High abideth under the shadow of the Almighty. Now, do not make a superstition of neglect. Outward steps belong to wisdom, not to fear. Fasten the seatbelt, engage the lock, consult the physician, speak with counsel, set aside savings as you are led. But remember this line that keeps the heart clean. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. The horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. Not I am safe because I have a plate, but God is my safety, and the plate is a channel that may or may not be used. Not I am secure because of my bank, but the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. The bank is a window through which fullness may shine this hour, and another window tomorrow. Our alliance is in the infinite, invisible, not in finite guarantees and institutions. The greater your inner reliance, the saner and simpler your outer steps become. You do what is needed and you stop when the Spirit says, enough. Watch how the unseen source orders your steps when you cease managing destiny with your nerves. A road you meant to take is delayed 5 minutes and you pass a tangle after it has untangled. A meeting is moved and you discover that the move spared you a snare you did not see. A signature you were pressing for is withheld, and in the pause truth comes to light that saves all parties. He shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. These are not fantasies. They are the natural choreography of a life yielded to presence. Funnels of fear close and funnels of grace open. Traps that were clever yesterday are revealed as empty boxes today. No weapon formed against thee shall prosper, not because you are cleverer than the weapon, but because you dwell where weapons have no jurisdiction, under the shadow of the Almighty. Provision moves by the same law. Not I am wealthy, but the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Not I will get mine by effort, but consider the lilies. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. Before they call, I will answer is not poetry. It is the way substance appears when you stop clutching channels and rest in source. You may be led to new work, yes, to a conversation that opens a door, yes, to a wise budgeting that clarifies your day, yes, but you will know the difference between scrambling and being led, because the scrambling drains and the leading rests you even while you act. My God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory, not according to markets, not according to headlines, according to his nature expressing as your affairs. Now bring it to the moments that rattle the cage war on the screen, summons in the mail, rumors in the office. Do not join the stampede. Stand still within and hear me. Fear not, for I am with thee. I am a wall of fire round about. I am thy refuge and thy fortress. In me will you trust. Say the 3 lines softly if you must, then stop and let the hush arise. In that hush, you will feel the invisible ramparts rise where no brick could stand. In that hush, you will know which outward step belongs to you today and which theater belongs to someone else. In that hush, you will find that safety and supply flow silently, steadily, because God is being God where you are. Keep your alliance here. Look within, not out. Rest, don't reach. And you will watch with wonder as the infinite invisible proves its sufficiency, opening ways, closing traps, guarding your going out and your coming in from this time forth, and even forevermore. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Let us be honest and kind with ourselves, because the old habits do not die loudly. They slip back in with church clothes on. The first is petition relapse. You find yourself bargaining with God. If you will do this by Friday, I will do that on Monday, or rehearsing needs as if omnipresence were hard of hearing. Stop right there. Not another sentence. Be still and know that I am God. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask. Prayer that dissolves problems is not a speech to move deity. It is recognition that God is the only presence and the only power here. Return to the first line. God is the only presence and the only power here. Stay until the begging tongue gives way to the listening heart. Then let I in the midst say for itself, I will never leave you nor forsake you. The second is problem preoccupation, which is only a fancier word for gazing at the white poodle. You know how it goes. You tell the story, and then you tell it again with footnotes, and by the time you have given the 3rd edition, the poodle has grown tusks. Withdraw attention. You cannot starve a picture while feeding it with your fascination. Wake up, and the poodle is gone. Stop looking at the snake and the rope. Turn on the light and discover there never was a serpent to charm or to fight. How? By recognition. God is. God is here. God is the life, mind, and substance, appearing as all true being and action. Say it softly and then fall silent. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. The seeing is beholding reality, not auditing illusion. The third is ego affirmations, a very popular pastime in metaphysical parlors. I am wealthy, I am perfect, I am harmonious, and there we are, human beings walking around with eyeglasses and saying, I am perfect. Be gentle, take off the crown and let the persona sit down. Instead of this I am business, we change our treatment to God is. Not I am wealthy, but rather the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Not I am harmonious, but God is the harmony of all being, expressing His order in this very situation. Not I am wise, but God is omniscience, the mind revealing itself as right understanding now. In that not but reorientation, the strain falls, because the Father that dwelleth in me, He doeth the works. I can of mine own self do nothing. My doctrine is not mine. Let God be God. The fourth is timing anxiety, the clock on the altar. You light the candle at 9 and tap your watch at 10. You look for manna in tomorrow's cupboard and miss the bread that is here. Remember, in your patience possess ye your souls. First the blade, then the ear, then the full corn in the ear. Peace is the first evidence of fulfillment. Forms are the latecomers. If peace has come, do not uproot the seed to see if it is sprouting. Before they call, I will answer. My times are in thy hand. Rest, don't reach. How, then, do we correct on the spot? The same simple way every time. When you catch yourself fixing, bargaining, retelling, timing, stop, return to the 3 lines. God is the only presence and the only power here. God is the life, mind, and substance, appearing as all true being and action. I, in the midst of me, am mighty, peace, be still. Then 60 seconds of holy quiet. No decoration, no pushing. Let the hush carry authority. In that minute, the infinite invisible reclaims the scene, the hypnotism thins, and you remember what was always true. I am with thee. I am thy refuge and thy fortress. And as you walk on, you will notice the gentlest sign that correction is taken, your shoulders have lowered, your breath is softened, and the problem has lost its voice. Keep it simple. Whenever you slip into fixing, return to the 3 lines in the holy quiet. Let God be God, and watch how quickly the white poodle forgets to show up. Let us make this way our way. A rule of life is not a cage. It is a trellis on which the vine may freely climb. Never permit a day to pass without communion. Morning, before the world speaks 3 lines, then 60 seconds of holy quiet. God is the only presence and the only power here. God is the life, mind, and substance, appearing as all true being in action. I, in the midst of me, am mighty, peace, be still. Then hush, midday, when the gears grind and the phone chimes stop wherever you are, even if it is the space of a single elevator ride, and make your appointment. Evening, before sleep, gathers the senses again, the 3 lines and the silence, placing the day back into the hands that held it from the first. In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Keep these holy appointments as faithfully as you would keep an audience with a king. You are, in truth, keeping one. Make a crisis protocol so simple that it will find you in the hallway, the operating room, the airport seat, the parking lot where a voice was raised. Do not race for words or hunt for books. Pause. Inwardly speak the lines, God is the only presence and the only power here. God is the life, mind, and substance, appearing as all true being and action. I, in the midst of me, am mighty. Peace, be still. Then stand still inside. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Do not strain for outcomes. Let recognition do the arranging. You will feel the authority of the hush before the forms have caught up, and that authority is already the salvation appearing. Before they call, I will answer. Let your practice widen without turning into meddling. Hold your household, your colleagues, your city, your leaders, and yes, the nations, not in persuasion, not in side-taking, but in recognition of one presence. Father, thou art the life of all. God is the only presence and the only power there. God is the mind, revealing itself as wisdom in these counsels. I, in the midst of all, am mighty, peace, be still. Then silence. No instructing God, no rehearsing fears. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. You will notice a softening where you stand, and from that softening ripples move that you may never measure. Our reliance is in the infinite invisible. The channels will show themselves without your clutching. Identity will flower under the steady sun. You will die daily, not by tragedy, but by consent as the asserting self. The one who must be right, must be noticed, must be safe by its own contriving, gives way to the one who knows, I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. That is rebirth. Not I am spiritual, but God is spirit, expressing the infinite nature of its own being as me. Not I am perfect, but I and my Father are one, and the oneness shines as function, as love, as order, as quiet joy. The old habit of declaring yourself something will fall away because the new day of witnessing God, being God where you are, has come. You will not have to say, I am at peace. Peace will become your climate. You will not have to chase demonstration. demonstration will become your norm. So go now with a simple rule and a wide mercy, morning, midday, evening, recognition, and holy quiet. In any crisis, pause, speak, and stand still inside. Hold the world lightly in one presence, and let the word work. And hear, as benediction and as daily bread, the voice that has accompanied us through these hours. Fear not, I am ever with thee. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers they shall not overflow thee. Lo, I am with you alway, even unto the end of the world. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. I in the midst of thee am mighty. My peace I give unto you. Walk in that peace, and you will find the road already prepared, the manna already laid, the rock already flowing. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord here, now, and in the quiet appointments you will keep for the rest of your days.